All right, so this is in line with what we just talked about. So when the risk outweighs the reward. What?
You're just so serious. I'm listening, baby.
We're talking about business.
I know we are. It just
serious.
cracks me up. People are seeing like the real, authentic Brandon today because he gets so serious. Okay, risk outweighs reward. Hello. I'm Sam.
I'm Brandon.
And this is the Middleton Methods podcast where you get to be a fly on our wall to get practical tips, gain insight, and laugh at our expense. So welcome.
Welcome, everybody.
How are you? How is your week going? What is going on? How are you doing?
Good. It was a fun, eventful weekend.
It was.
Always.
It was. I had a lot of you took the kids out for...
Even though you said we just wanted to stay in this weekend after 4th of July and birthdays and everything. This was our weekend to kind of chill out.
Well, it was the weekend of committing that we were going to get some stuff done around the house, which also meant taking some time to relax. Mm-hmm. And we did. Like, you had a couple of errands you wanted to run that you went and did, and instead of going by yourself, you took the kids with you, which, leads us into our Middleton Madness, right? Or there's always madness when you have to go out and run around. But overall, it was a nice, relaxing weekend. Mm-hmm. Until yesterday.
We almost got through the whole weekend without too much madness.
I know. We were like, what are we going to talk about? And then I went and checked out our IG story because we're staying more up to date on what's going on by doing those little IG stories. So again, if you're not following us on there, go follow us. It's at brandonandsam, at brandonandsam on Instagram. But we've been posting pretty much our whole day on there, on and off, of the things that are going on. And so I was like, what is our madness this week? I went flipping through the story and I saw this turtle. So it reminded me of the madness of the week, which was okay, Brandon opens up the door and he's like, babe, there's a turtle in the driveway.
To take the trash out or something, and I open the garage and all of a sudden I see this thing, no lie,
he was not
big.
that
you
big.
You didn't get that close.
Oh my goodness.
He was this big, scurrying across the pavers.
The way he yelled at me, you would have thought he was the size of a car, but he wasn't. It was like a normal water turtle.
Very far from normal. We saved the video story so you can see proof.
Yeah, we'll have to put it up on our blog or something. Okay, yes. Granted, this was a really ugly turtle. He was in the driveway, and we have our whole yard fenced in, and we'll drive along the road, and I'll see a turtle in the middle of the street, and I will not touch it. I won't touch it, but I'll pull the car up behind it so that it'll want to scurry out of the road. But this guy wouldn't move. If we went near him, he would hide in a shell. So I'm like, Brandon, you've got to save this turtle. You gotta pick him up, put him over the fence so he can go back to the lake. Brandon just kept saying no. He wouldn't touch the turtle.
I mean, this thing had a neck 5 inches long.
It was seriously like a giraffe neck.
It was just the ugliest, nastiest looking turtle. I don't know if it was a snapping turtle or what. It had all its webbed feet, flippers. It was like the cross between a lizard and a turtle. It was some
He's
moving
like a
along
mutant
with a paddle, and its shell wasn't even a hard shell.
Oh yeah,
so
this was
shell. And he bucked back at me, and I was like, I'm not even messing.
I said, I think he's a snapping turtle, and the whole time I'm telling Brandon, come on, babe, just take the paddle, because he had a paddle. He wouldn't even pick it up, so I'm like, just take the paddle and flip him over till you get to the gate. And he's like, no, I'm not touching him. Finally, Brandon got the courage or the whatever it is, the cojones to just go touch the turtle with this 4-foot paddle. And he touches the turtle and it literally, snapped back at him and hopped all the way around, totally facing the wrong direction. Yeah. It was the wrong move. He shouldn't have touched the turtle with the paddle. But I got a good laugh out of it. I got a good laugh out of it because Brandon jumped so high when he did it. I figured
it's nature. I was just going to let him do his thing until I realized that he couldn't get out of the yard. And it's 94 degrees out.
He's trying to crawl on the fence. And he starts turning sideways. And Brandon's like, oh yeah. I'm like, there's no way he's going to fit through the picket fence. There's no way.
Yeah.
No way.
I started to feel a little bad. So
I'm glad. And hero of the day.
I just was like an airplane I was just kind of like directing him to an opening in the fence.
The turtle would start to turn around, and when Brandon would be like, no, 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 and he would like move over and block him, so he would put his head back in his shell and turn the other way. Needless to say, he did get out. There was this funny moment with the kids. It started to like thunder, and then it started to pour right as this turtle is like getting back to his motherland. It just starts pouring. And at this point, Brandon's just like, whatever, I'm already committed. I mean, he was out there for a good 45 minutes probably trying to get this turtle to go through the gate. And at one point, Max is freaked out, like, because Brandon won't touch the turtle. Max is freaked out about the turtle. So he's like, don't go near the turtle, it's gonna bite you. So at this one point in time, it thunders. Now Peyton is scared because we freaked her out that she can't go out in the rain with her umbrella because if it lightnings, she could get electrocuted. So we put all these, I guess, fear of death, poor kids, into their minds. And so it starts thundering and she's going, Daddy, come on, you gotta get out of the thunder before it lightnings and it hits you. And like, she's being very, just smart about it. Like, come on, Dad, you gotta get out. And the anticipation that Brandon's not coming into the garage, but he's still trying to like get this turtle out of the way builds up. And Max just like, all of a sudden he just goes, Daddy, the turtle's gonna bite you!
Yeah, like bends in half and like leans forward
with his like and fists up, and oh my gosh. And he has this like look of concern on his face. It was so cute. I wish I didn't get that one on video, so I had to take all those like little mental pictures of him doing it because it was so funny. I just couldn't handle it. Those kids are so cute. So the turtle saved. We hashtag saved the turtles and everything. It was a good time. Brandon gave me a good laugh, and he was a really good sport for letting me put it up on IG stories because he really doesn't like when I put things on that I'm going to tease him about later.
In front of me, yeah, of course. I'd love it if you guys could help me out here and go
say yes. So we love watching those things. Please post more.
No, go look at the picture of this thing and tell me, would you have picked it up?
I would not have picked it up. No way. No way. I wouldn't have picked it up.
You're on your own, buddy.
But that's why I sent you. That's like seeing a spider. I'm like, babe, there's a spider. Can you please go kill it?
I would not have even wasted my time trying to help him.
I know.
Otherwise, he would have had to go like out the driveway and
around the bush. I was thinking, like, do we have a bucket that he could crawl into, and then we can just pick up the bucket?
Nope.
We didn't even have one big enough. It really was quite a large creature.
Yeah.
And then we were already getting like messages on Facebook from people that saw like this turtle video of this huge turtle, and they were tagging us in it. Like, is this what the turtle looked like? It was a good time. So we have fun on social media. Thanks for reaching out to us, guys. Anyway, let's move into our topic of the day. We're going to talk today about businesses. Like, there's a lot of new entrepreneurs that do struggle for a while, and they decide, is this the right fit for me? Should I be moving forward? And we had our friend Balaji send in a question that we're going to play the audio from. And
there's multiple types of business models. And when you're new, you're like, yes, I don't want to work for the man anymore, right? Or you're like, oh, I have this idea, or I have a lot of ideas. You come across a ton of opportunities, whether it's real estate, network marketing, internet marketing, inventions. Like, there's all types of business models.
Yeah, and a ton of challenges, too.
Yeah, he had a great question for us that we wanted to share and actually just cover that in this week's episode. So I'm just going to play the clip because he sent it on the Facebook Messenger.
So how do you know how to read the tea leaves so you can figure out, okay, for example, I've been doing this for 1 year, for 2 years, I'm not making a lot of traction, maybe this isn't a good fit for my skill set and my personality. Now, I did listen to your episode about finding your passion, and you elaborated that you should always do something you're passionate about because every road is hard. Therefore, when the going gets tough, if it's something you're passionate about, that can give you the stick-to-it-iveness to stick it through, the stickability to stick it through. But having said that, it's not always, the profits are not always readily apparent with one's passion versus picking a business model that is already inherently higher ticket, higher margin. So yeah, that's the first question, knowing when to stick and when to quit. That's actually a tip.
Yeah, there it is. All right, so sticking versus quitting.
So,
Want to take this off here?
Well, first off, we just want to come from the basic assumption that it's highly unlikely that your first business is going to be the successful one that you stick with and is the one that is the profitable one that leads to all the success and lifestyle that you want, right? I mean, it was for us. My first thing I heard was 9 out of 10 businesses fail, so start 10. I just automatically assumed, or, you know.
And I thought, well, get to it then, because I don't have a lot of time to wait for you to fail at 10 businesses, so let's go.
Right. So you probably have already started, or maybe you tried network marketing, or you tried some, you know, venture with a partner or something. So yeah, when do you quit versus when do you know to just stick through the tough time, right?
Well, I want to hit on real fast before we dive too deep in it. He was talking about like, is passion enough? You know, like most people that we come across these days do pick something that they like to do or want to do or they're passionate about, and that seems to be the people that we do see struggle the most. They're like, okay, I've been taught, I've learned, or whatever. I've started this company out and I've learned that I should be passionate about it, what I do, so here I go. But then they don't know how to actually turn their passion into a business. It's their biggest kryptonite, ultimately. And I don't necessarily think that you shouldn't do something that you're passionate about. I believe in it wholeheartedly, because even with us starting out in our marketing company, we did have, we didn't exactly know how we were going to profit at first, but we did know we had an interest in the internet, an interest in marketing.
And interested in continuing education.
Right. So the real deal was for us to learn, which is why we're sharing this with you today. It's not so much like having a passion and like when you're passionate about things, you can just kind of go off and be like, oh, this is what I think people need. But there are some real rules of starting a business, like knowing your market and knowing what your customers need. And if you take those two things, like knowing what they need, understanding your market, understanding the pricing, and you couple it with that passion, that's what's actually going to form a business. Mm-hmm. Do you want to keep going on that?
Yeah, I just wanted to share a few things regarding when to quit your business, when to give up on that business, because we have given up on a few businesses, right?
Yeah.
Right? And after, even ones that made money, right? Like the My Online Geeks company, like that was the first one where we got like consistent checks. But when you step back and look at it all, it was not something that we were going to scale. So that brings me to the first point, which is when market research shows that there's no need for your product. So we were in one of our first businesses. Again, I'm not even going to talk about the businesses that didn't even make money. This was a business where we had a customer base, we had a storefront, everything. There was a need for the product, so we did computer repair and computer support for like local small businesses, right? There was a need for it, but that was also around the time that Geek Squad was like exploding. So the competition was through the roof.
Yeah.
And it was as easy as going to your local Best Buy or just picking up the phone, and you could have some company in India log into your computer and, you know, diagnose the viruses and clean up your malware and all that stuff. So there was a need, but the competition was out of control.
Right. And our USP during that time was realizing like, oh, in order to get the Geek Squad to fix your computer, you have to unplug your computer and bring it to the Geek Squad. So our USP was like, you could bring it to us or we'll pick it up. I mean, that was just one little thing. We would do the service inside your house, or if you wanted us to just come pick up the computer,
we would. Geek Squad started doing that as well. So
yeah, and
like
just really
2 years prior, when we were first starting the business, nobody was doing it. So
right.
There was a demand and there was a gap, and we were doing pretty well with it. But like I said, once that need started to go away because a much larger enterprise was coming in and filling that need, that was one big sign that, hey, we need to move on to something else.
Yeah.
Another one is when it breaks your family. I know a lot of very successful entrepreneurs that on paper, they are successful in their business. But because of the demands of travel, time, all the other sacrifices that come with running a business, maybe it's a business where they have to work with a team or a type of a customer. Like I would have a challenge. What are some businesses that your customer is someone who like you wouldn't even want to be around? Like I couldn't imagine being what's someone that deals with like angry customers all day? Like
the computer repair business.
No, I met some
people's
cool
computers.
people.
Well, yeah, but their computers were broken. They were always complaining. It kind of stopped.
Like if you're in any sort of like major customer service or
yeah, okay. So my parents own like a customer service
outsourcing
call center, and people, just if I had to go, I worked there for a little while and I just didn't like it. Like you call and you listen to people complain, or Rainsoft when you used to work for the water softener company. Well, he used to go out and see the customers. We actually had this job together. He would go out and see the customers, but I had to call them to get the appointments that like Brandon and the crew were going out to go see, and people would yell at me all the time. They would hang up on me all the time. It was terrible.
So if the business model demands time and energy that takes away from your family. So again, like if you're, I'm trying to think of a better example. I should have had one here, but like a criminal lawyer or something. Like if you just are used to looking at like negativity every day because that's the business that you're in, and then you don't have an easy time letting go of that when you come home. Or again, you're on the road constantly. That's what we see a lot. We see a lot of people in our industry that are on the road constantly. They're, which means they're not able to make as many phone calls, or they're not able to see their family as much. And that can tear down a marriage, of family, any relationships, right? So if it's profitable, or yes, it's making a lot of revenue, and all the other things are check, but if it's breaking the family, you might have to think of a different way to do that, or be in a different business altogether.
And funny enough, we'll be hitting this briefly later, but during our marriage minute, I'm going to share something with you, and in that, I'm going to be reading you guys something, and in that piece that I'm reading you, I do talk about a time that it broke our family very briefly. Mm-hmm. So listen out for that later. I'm not going to tell you about it now. You'll just have to listen to the marriage minute.
All right. Then I'd say when it's a brand new business model that's never been tried before, right? Everybody has ideas, but our ideas are worthless until they're put into action and you actually have a proof of concept, right? Just watch any episode of Shark Tank. One of the first things they ask are, what are your sales? Why do they ask that? Because it's proof that there's already people willing to pay for that thing. If you have this great idea and you don't have any sales yet, you don't have anyone or you don't have a competitor who's doing the same thing, maybe they're not doing it as good or they're doing it differently, but you at least have proof of concept. If you're doing something brand new that's never been done before, I would be cautious because it's never been done before. So that could either be very high success, or there might be a reason that it hasn't been done before because people have already tried it and failed, and realized maybe there's not as much of a need, or customers aren't willing to pay for it, right?
You're very serious today. Look at you. He's in go mode. Can you tell? So I'm just going to sidetrack real fast. Yeah. A little sidetrack, and then we'll move on. It's a Monday. Like, we usually record our podcast on Tuesday, but it's Monday, and we did have a nice, low-key weekend. I could tell this guy is, fired up right now. All right, let's go.
All right, so this is in line with what we just talked about. So when the risk outweighs the reward. What?
You're just so serious. I'm listening, baby.
We're talking about business.
I know we are. It just cracks me up. People are seeing the real authentic Brandon today because he gets so serious. Okay, risk outweighs reward.
What does that mean to you?
So when we're making really important decisions about our business, we do weigh the risk that we're taking to do those things. And if the pain is too high or the risk is too much for us versus the reward that we would gain from doing it, we don't make that move. So what's a good example? there was a time when we found the sweet spot for what to charge our customers to kind of scale our business a little bit more. We said, like, let's get a nice monthly.
Hang on, let me I'm sorry, I got to take this away from you.
You just got to take it from me like that. Oh my gosh!
I want to give a much easier.
He's on fire.
I want to give a more relatable answer. So we have a friend.
Because you already know what I was going to say.
One of our first employers who owns a pizza restaurant, and what I've said before is I don't think most business owners, most entrepreneurs realize the average entrepreneur only makes $67,000 a year, average. So there's all this hype and talk and everything about being your own boss. But let me give you an example of a pizza shop owner who was his own boss for 20 years or something, and he was never able to actually get out of that business. Family challenges along the way. Eventually, it was just last year or this year, the business finally closed. But
he just walked out. He just said, "I'm not doing this anymore." The risk was too higher than the reward was.
Right. So to invest, I don't know if he ever made even six figures. So to work,
he didn't,
and invest that much into a business that's a commodity, pizza, right? The risk.
I love pizza.
I know.
Especially his pizza.
Versus, so the possible reward on that, unless you franchise and became another Papa John's, the reward could only be so high, but the risk is massive. So, and the amount of time and everything invested. So, I just wanted to give that to you. So, if you're selling trinkets, or you're passionate about a business that, only has the potential to make a certain amount or do so much, you just need to be realistic with, all right, well, what's it going to take? If it doesn't take you much and it doesn't make much, well, go for it. Or if you're going to risk it all, but it has the potential to give you all the things that you want and that you want to be able to contribute, then go for it.
And I want to stick with this for a minute. When Balaji was asking his question, he was talking about in the first year or two, like other opportunities coming his way, or whoever's way that he was talking about. And that's an important part to remember during this time, because when you're first starting out a company, people will start to see traction, and you're like a bright, shiny object to them. So if they have a service or a company or a network marketing or something, like, everybody's going to try to flock to you like flies and go, well, there's an opportunity here, there's an opportunity here, there's an opportunity here. And you have to be really good at quickly looking at them and realizing, is this a better opportunity than the one I'm in? So it's not necessarily like, when do you quit your business? When you realize that risk is better than the reward on a long-term scale, right? Like I will take a big risk, but my threshold for pain is a short period of time. So I'll take a huge risk for a few months. But if I don't see the changes I want to see within a few months, I'm ready to make another big change, right? That's kind of mine. I'm not very cautious on those things, but I'll tell you, I'm quick. I'm quick to notice when something's not working and move on. And I think that's really a strength of mine in our business, and something that I would recommend you getting really good at, because there are things like that have come our way in the past, like a network marketing opportunity. Gosh, I think we've joined like 5 network marketing companies.
Well, and the more successful you get, the more people are like, hey, you'd be perfect for this. And you start to realize, well, yeah, I could do
but
a
I'm
lot
already
of things,
really good at what I'm doing,
it's
right?
It's going to take me a lot of time invested,
basically, you don't want to get sidetracked. So, if you realize that it's like when to stick or when to quit. Well, obviously you're going to quit if it's not giving you a return, right? Like if you're not profiting, what is your threshold for pain? What have you decided? I'm going to give 100% to my business for the next year, for the next 5 years, for the next 3 months? Like, how long are you going to put into your business, and what kind of return do you want to see? And that's, for me, when I would know when to quit. I mean, when we sit down and do our goals, like, you could just say, like, if the risk is bigger, but what does that really look like for you? We sit down all the time, and we still do this today, quarterly, we check in monthly, we do it twice a year, we do it at the end of the year. I mean, like, we're constantly doing it for different reasons, but we will sit down and go, okay, like once a year, what are our huge goals that we want to accomplish this year? Once a quarter, what do we want to accomplish this quarter? And what are our expectations of the moves we're making, even as we're making changes, right? Because it changes day to day, so we always have to come back and meet. And then when you're getting really good at that, you're going to realize, as Brandon was saying, as you're getting good in your business, and building traction, that other bright, shiny objects will come to try to knock you off your path a little, but you'll be
other opportunities.
and you'll get better and better and seeing like, okay, this opportunity may be great, but I'm just going to focus on what I'm doing instead of trying to do 3 other things at once or stopping what I'm doing to start something new.
I think that's where the passion part comes in. Like, if just because you can make money in some next network marketing company, but you're not passionate about it, you're not excited about it, it's not in line with what you're here to do, then you don't do it. It makes it easy to be like, all right, well, I'm glad those potions and powders are working for so many other people, but I'm actually not really interested in that. I'm not passionate
Potions
about
and
that.
powders. That's what always happens when we join a network marketing company. Oh, it's a lot of work. Those things are a lot of work.
Which moves in every business is a lot of work.
Well, yeah, but those are
So-
especially, and you don't even really own it.
So that's just in line with the next thing. When you no longer believe in the cause or reason, sometimes this has happened to us. We start working with a company and we're all excited about
The potential.
the potential to turn around a company, the potential to launch new products.
Yep.
We're really involved in the story of where that business is going.
Right.
And then obviously this was earlier on in our career, we had to get good at realizing there's a lot of things that people say, but don't watch people's words as much as their actions. So there was a couple of times where we were working with people where we're like, you know what? This is a little gray area for us. This isn't as black and white as it appeared to be when we, were the first year, second year working on this project with you. So now it's time for us to, you're welcome to keep going your way, but it's time for us to make a change because we no longer believe in it, which means we don't work the late nights for it anyway. We don't get up early. We're not excited about it anymore. So that's when it's another time to quit, is if you don't believe in the cause or the business, product, service anymore. Mm-hmm. And then finally, I want to give one last thing, which is, when looking at any business, you have to also think about the opportunity cost. So was it 2 episodes ago, we talked Live or Die. We talked about how many, in a perfect world, if we all live to that average expectant age, we only have so much time to accomplish so many things. And when you take out holidays and sleeping and eating and going to the bathroom and all, we don't have that much time. When you have a family, you especially don't like to work weekends. It just gives you a few days, solid days a week, and only so many weeks in our lifetime. So you want to be thinking about, yes, does the math make sense? Does the formula make sense? Am I passionate about this? Yes, okay, it makes money. But is this a business that's going to take you 10 years to have an exit and make your, the money that you want to make that makes those 10 years of sacrifice worth it? Or is it something that you can make good money along the way? Like, you have to just be thinking about what if this, here's the opportunity, how much time on the high end and low end do I expect to have to put towards this? How much money am I going to have to expect to put in to reach the goals of this opportunity? And then you determine whether it's worth it. Because there's like we said, there's been plenty of opportunities that come across our table all the time. However, we're thinking, all right, well, if I go and spend the next year doing this, that means I don't have that much time to put into this, right? To this other thing. Like, you can only have so many focuses. So I think about, what is the cost? If you're in the middle of a business that's doing $100,000 a year and you're like in that good momentum, like you're only a little whiles away before you start to just skyrocket. And then network marketing is so easy because people are always thinking of, and then someone comes in with some network marketing idea.
Have you ever thought
opportunity,
about?
and you're like, you could get on the ground floor. I just need you to help here. I'll do it all for you. Yeah, right. And let me just, I just need you to do this and do this. Well, now you're taking time away from here. And if this is going to be your $1 million, multi-million-dollar business, the time that you spent focusing on the other thing has a huge cost. Does that make sense?
It does. But remember, there are some, like Brandon made a little note for some takeaways to take with you when you're thinking about these things.
You say it like that, takeaways.
Takeaways, like these are important.
They are important.
Why are you making fun of me?
Because I thought you were mocking me.
I was no, never.
I like the takeaways. I want you to have some writer-downers.
Yes, I was not mocking you.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, he is on fire today. I'm gonna have to have a little chat with you later, mister. One thing he wrote down is knowing your value. Never compete on price. Yeah, so know your value. Never compete on price. What is your USP? These are all things that are super important. USP is unique selling proposition. So what is it about you that is going to be attractive about other people? When I think back to a lot of our struggles back at the beginning when we started our business, one of the things that we had to get good at really quickly was finding out where there was a need in the market and making that be our USP. There are other companies now that do very similar to the same thing we do. And for us, that's fine. I believe we do it better. If you want to go pay $1,000 because they're claiming that they can do everything we can do for $1,000 a month, great. But I'm not going to work for you for $1,000 a month. So know your value. Charge your premium price.
No, you need to be a premium. You can't just charge a premium price without being a premium.
That's a really good point.
So,
well, that's, yes.
Right? Bentley, Mercedes, Ferrari, like, you know, these higher end cars, they don't go on sale. They don't have big discounts.
Oh, Tempur-Pedics.
Because
they never go on sale.
They know that they have the best product. They're not a knockoff. They're not a, you can't buy them anywhere else. So if you want that, you have to go to them for that, and the price is what the price is. And if you don't want it, fine. There's plenty of other people who are willing to pay that premium. But that requires you to be a premium service. You have to, I mean, when we first started increasing our pricing, we knew, all right, well, that means, so the reason we did it was because we knew we would agree to, hey, we're going to build this website for you. And it's, everyone else is charging, you know, $3,000, so we'll charge $3,000. And then we realized, all right, well, we give you the website for $3,000, but then 2 weeks later, you actually realized you changed your mind about something, or you wanted to edit something, or something stopped working because of an update, you know, or the internet changed something, and now you need support and maintenance. And so we started to realize, all right, you know what, we're just going to build that into the price. So you're going to pay a little bit more, but you're going to get so much more from us. So always, you know, be that premium. If it's a service, be a premium service provider. Or, you know, you charge more for your product, your trinket, whatever it is, but make it the best materials, the best quality, the best user experience.
Yeah.
And then that I think the worst thing you could do is compete on price. If you sell anything and you're just like, hey, we're on sale, we're cheaper. Ugh.
So let's move on from there to Brandon's No BS business tips, because we had a follow-up question from Balaji also come in. So today will just be Balaji Day. Thank you for sending in your questions. But it really relates a lot to that high margin versus low margin business model. He said real estate is a really attractive looking business because each sale can be a high margin sale, especially when you compare it to a business like one that sells trinkets where you have to sell a whole bunch of them to be profitable. So what are the pros and cons of having a high margin versus low margin company? Now, we just talked about being this premium. Obviously, that's the side that we are most attractive to. So let's just talk about the pros and cons real quick, and I'm sure some other conversation will come up about our opinion on the two.
Okay. Well, I want to first give a definition of high margin versus low margin. So without having an adequate gross profit margin, a business cannot pay its expenses, employees, rent, on and on, right? And retain its earnings for future growth. Who wants to be in a business that just stays the same? You want to have growth, which means you're going to have to save some money for employees you may have to hire in the future, or upgrades of software, or upgrades of a building, or whatever. So you need to have some of those earnings stay in the company, not in your pocket, for that future growth. A high profit margin indicates that a company operates efficiently. On the other hand, a low profit margin typically indicates a highly competitive market or, in more often cases, ineffectively run business.
I feel like even from the get-go, okay, so we were going to sell T-shirts in one of our first failed businesses. We were just going to sell T-shirts, and we realized quickly that there's little to no profit on that. So when we transitioned over to doing the marketing piece, we realized that not only was there a need in the market, but people were willing to pay more money for that than a T-shirt. Mm-hmm. It was attractive to us. And we thought at the time, like, even though we don't have every answer to marketing, this is something that we're really interested in. We really like doing it. We really like that we can go help people on a different level growing their businesses. And ultimately, there was potential to make a lot of money doing it. So we were like, yeah, let's go. What we realized, even after we first started, is that, like, when he's talking about be the value on the other piece, like, we were charging like way too low at first, but that's because we were just getting started. So one of the pros of like having a really high margin, low volume company is that you have a luxury product, your customers are less prone to react to price changes, and it's a more stable market. And I can say over the last 10 years that we've had our marketing company that is such a true statement. Yeah. I mean, we've definitely learned that you have to have the confidence to go after somebody that can pay that price, right? Like a salesperson in a Aston Martin dealership is going to be different than a salesperson at Kia, right? They're just going to get a different value, like different value from the person selling you the car. And it's the same thing in our company. We realized when we were talking to customers that we would basically give them like this white glove experience. They could come and depend on that. They could hire the developers and hire the designers and hire the marketing person and hire the project manager, and they could hire the copywriter. But we actually we formed that team and had that in place and said, why do you want to go hire and manage all these people? We have this bundled up for you. And because we do this for 2, 3, 4, 5 clients at a time, you get it for a discounted price instead of having to go foot the bill for yourself. So that was our USP when we first got started. And of course, at first we only had 1 or 2 clients. So one thing to keep in mind is if you're going to go the high margin route, be willing to work for less, not free, because I don't believe in working for free at all. I think people get used to you doing things for free, and then they expect you to do a whole lot of work for no money, and it doesn't go anywhere good for you. That relationship will not last long term. It just won't. You have an expectation in your mind of...
Well, it depends on what you see your value. If you see your value at, a certain amount, and people are willing to pay you that amount eventually, well, then it's a match. But if you see your value as 7 figures, and you're only working for people that are going to pay 6 figures, obviously you. And I'm going
to contest to that, because I think even at the beginning, you may think, oh, I only need to make this much money, and then you end up making it after a little while, after you prove your value and learn and grow in that company. But even once you make that amount, I have friends right now that are going through this transition where they really wanted to work for the company. Well, they were willing to take less. They kind of know where they need to be financially. But even when they hit that, they're now thinking in their head, well, I'm starting to get so good at what I'm doing that I could offer this as a business. And it's a cool transition to see somebody go through, and something I want you to keep in mind, that you can start out by basically mentoring with somebody, right? Like, people will pay you to learn. That's how we did it for years. Our very first...
That's a big reason why we charged less.
Not our very first, but one of our first clients on the marketing side was very good at the ideas, but did not have time nor the resources to implement them.
Right.
So we came in as that implementation company, and we got to learn a ton about marketing over the 4.5 years that we work with that company.
Which only made us more valuable.
Yeah, it helped us gain our value and realize that now we were even worth more of a premium price than we were worth before, because time, experience, it makes you increase your value for your customers. Some of the cons It's harder to get started. You need to build a reputation.
Which is a catch-22, because how do you build a reputation? It's like a credit score. How do you build your credit score when you just get out of, you just turn 18 and that you don't have any credit? You kind of have to slowly work your way up to it.
Yeah, so if you are taking on, like, your let's say you have a service like ours, like a marketing company or something, or just another service company or a coaching company, where maybe right now you're a coach and you can only charge $500 a month for coaching, whatever is included in that package. Well, you're going to start to get people saying, hey, what I learned from Joe has taken my business to the next level here, or I was able to go and take the information that Joe gave me and made, $5,000 this month in my business. And now you have some testimonials and some backup to say, well, now my coaching is $1,000 a month. And you just slowly build that reputation. You're giving this high quality service to people. And as long as you're giving them a high standard of customer service, which we had read somewhere that they look at that as a con. I don't. I think that you're keeping people happy, having a higher quality customer service. We've noticed through the years that, especially that it's not a con for me, because I don't mind giving that. Like, I usually get more involved with the clients we work with, but they are like, yes, they are a little bit more picky, and they do expect a higher quality.
Which is why you need to know.
But it develops you to be a better person ultimately.
Whether it is. Let's take a service business. Let's just go back to the Bentley, or BMW. Why does a battery cost so much more? Why does an oil change cost so much more? It's just a better quality product, and they know that the way they created it, the way they designed it, they know, even like Apple products, they know you're going to have problems that you don't even know you have, so they build it into the pricing. You're paying more, but you're not going to have to, that's why I trust all of our business with Apple, because I know I'm not wasting hours every month, once a year, whatever it is, figuring out why isn't this working, or, oh, I got a virus, or I got to take my computer in. I mean, it's the lifeblood of our business, so I'm happy to pay a premium for it, because even if something does go wrong, you go to the Genius Bar, in the rare occasion, it's taken care of. That's that. So. And
they even built it in the price that you're just not going to have to come in and get it fixed as often.
Well, that's the smartest thing to do, is to build it.
When you're talking about Apple products, how often do we have to even bring in our laptops and our computers? Never. But very rarely do we have to bring them in.
I've never brought a computer into Apple. I've never brought a phone. That's it. I've never brought a computer.
Oh, really?
Into Apple. Never.
Oh, touche. All right. So low margin, high volume, we'll just hit it really quickly. We're not big fans of this model, except it's good to do both of these companies together. But our theory is, when you're focused on the high volume first, then eventually when you are at a profit margin that you like, what?
High margin.
Did I say it? What did I say?
You said high volume.
Oh, forgive me. Oh my gosh, forgive me. A high margin first, and you get a good profitable area that you're comfy with, then you can transition that into throwing in another product or something in the mix, like another stream of income that is a low margin one but high volume. The problems with low margin, high volume is you've got to get a lot of customers to make a profit, because the profit margin is smaller.
And a lot of low price point customers.
Right, so like a t-shirt or a book, or what else is, there's tons of stuff out there like that.
Yeah, trinkets and widgets and all that stuff. And diet pills. That's a big, in the marketing space, I see people in that niche all the time, but there's no loyalty with that customer, right? There's no, the customer's not spending a lot, and they're usually not going to stick around for a long time, even if it is the best thing out there.
Right. They get pickier about the price, so they're out searching for the best price instead of searching for the best quality. Yep. So it's a little different. It's highly competitive.
And therefore, when there's not a high profit margin, do you think they're going to pay really good quality customer service representatives to answer your phone calls, take care of you? No. They're going to outsource it to email and overseas. And
you have to be really good marketers, or have a really good marketer, to do high volume, low margin, because you have to be in front of so many more eyeballs for product awareness and for sales. Like, your audience has to be so much bigger. Think about it. If you have A t-shirt is a $20 t-shirt. Think of how many $20 t-shirts you have to sell versus having a coaching program that's $1,000 a month. I mean, even just comparing those two, you need a lot more customers buying t-shirts to get to $1,000 than you do one customer that wants to come.
Well, that's just revenue. The profit margin on coaching might be 50%. The profit margin on a t-shirt might be
like 80%.
10%.
Oh, the profit margin. I'm thinking
right.
the cost. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you don't sell $1,000 in t-shirts.
And we know that from
experience.
experience.
You have to spend $10,000
right.
in t-shirts to make the same amount of money as you would in that example. But ideally, and let's just go back to one of my favorite philosophies is find a way to serve the many, because service to many leads to greatness. If you're doing something you're passionate about, you probably want to be great at it, which means you are going to likely eventually need to have a low margin, high volume offering in your business model. But it's a separate business model. And I think it's harder to start a business with high volume, low margin versus the other way around. Case in point, Tesla, what's his name?
Elon Musk.
Right? He created, the 100% electric car, super fast, awesome, best one on the market. He rolled out that company not with the high volume economy vehicle that's just released, 2 days ago at $35,000. No, he released the Roadster, 2-door, 2-passenger, whatever.
Starts
100,000.
I think it started at 100 when it first came out.
Yeah,
or right under, but you wanted some of the bells and whistles.
He went after the luxury customer, the guy with lots of disposable income who would take a risk on this and want this luxury,
new elite luxury vehicle,
right?
Yeah.
And then did they go to the low margin, high volume? No. Then they went to the sedan that's more like the BMW, right? It's more like the mid-size that, again, still started, I was just in there yesterday. It starts at 69, 65 and goes up. And then finally, they released another one of those for the SUV version that's a little bit cheaper, or no, around the same price. And now finally they're like, okay, we've avoided bankruptcy twice over. We've built a better infrastructure. We're in the media more. We've worked out a lot of the kinks. Now let's go for high volume, low margin.
And I don't know if you also saw, because I've seen that with Tesla, those two, they had the one version and the other more, one was slightly more expensive and one was slightly cheaper. You're saying that second model was slightly cheaper. They're actually getting rid of that one. Because they realized with the cheaper one, which is interesting, right? Just have the better quality product from the beginning, because they realized that the people were going in saying they wanted the cheaper version, but they wanted so many of those bells and whistles, they were paying about what they would have been spending if they had just bought the better car in the first place. Yep. So yeah, I hope you guys got some good information. Balaji, I hope you're happy with that. You'll have to reach out and let us know if you need more from us. You know where to find us. All right. Let's move on to the Marriage Minute. I got something really exciting I want to share with you today. I've been thinking a lot about just marriage, period, and we use the term ride or die a lot. So I wanted to give you guys a little sneak peek. I'm going to read you something from the book we're writing for no other reason than it's really awesome information, and I just kind of wanted to get Brandon's opinion on it today and chat with you guys about it for a minute. So,
you want to get my opinion on our book?
Well, no, about what I say in the book.
Oh, okay.
Goodness gracious. I know what your opinion of the book is. It's awesome because I'm writing it. No. Well, not no. Really, you do think it's awesome. But okay. This is from Method 1. We're basically giving you the methods for life hacks and that all relate to having a good, strong marriage. And the Method 1 is being each other's ride or die. So it's no surprise that 50% of marriages end in divorce. They all make the same mistake in their marriages too. The most common reasons being around money, growing apart, lack of sex, the kids, or the most common excuse, irreconcilable differences. AKA, I have 100 reasons, just get me out of this relationship now. Here's the reality. It didn't work out for 3 reasons. 1, they didn't have a ride or die mindset. 2, they didn't share a common goal. Or 3, they didn't put in the work as a team. But if all couples applied these 3 things into their relationships, divorce attorneys would be looking for a new line of work. It's a simple concept, yet one many people don't adapt to when they say, I do. Your spouse is your number 1 asset and also your number 1 investment. Even though B and I dated for 9 years before we got married, yes, I said 9, we were each other's ride or die years before that. I stopped thinking of him as a boyfriend, hoping one day he would be my husband and I would be his wife, and just started acting as if I was already his wife and we would be together forever until we peacefully died in each other's arms due to old age. That really is a true story. Naturally, when I started acting as if I was his wife, I behaved differently. I no longer took action with a backup plan in mind in case we broke up. Again, that's an important line. I no longer took action with a backup plan in mind in case we broke up. He was my only plan, and not only did I have to work with him towards a common goal, I wanted to be happy doing it with him. I promise you, the moment we changed our mindset from being just boyfriend and girlfriend to ride it till the wheels fall off, our relationship changed forever. For the better, obviously, since we're still together. It wasn't always sunshine and rainbows, though. This shift took a while to happen. In fact, we were dating for 3 years before we hit rock bottom and realized we needed to make a change. At that time, we were struggling to be entrepreneurs. We were going to college and barely scraping enough funds to pay the bills. We were broke. So this is going back to earlier. We were talking about just like starting out and do you know if this is the right thing within a year or 2? And Brandon had mentioned that you don't want to do it if it's going to break up your family. And I'm going into that for a little bit here. We were so broke, we were on the $1 double cheeseburger diet. We barely ate all day, and then we would stop on the drive to school to pick up our $1 double cheeseburger and share a 10-piece nugget. Needless to say, B was super focused on making a better life for us. Unfortunately, we didn't communicate much back then about what we were doing and how we were getting there. We were just doing what we thought we had to do in order to get to the next level. Ultimately, it ended up with B literally working all day and all night, spinning his wheels on a bunch of things that weren't turning a profit. And the only quality time we got together were our drive-through stops for our $1 double cheeseburgers on the way to class. The rest of the time, I worked full-time at a pizza shop, and B worked full-time at a lube shop changing oil, and then after our night class at school, he would then disappear into our bedroom closet, which was his office at the time, to work on our future. Long story short, we were overworked and underpaid, and after months and months of us not spending any time together and still not seeing any leeway that the work would pay off, it left us broken down to the point that we broke up.
Broke, busted, and disgusted.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You're probably thinking, I thought this was going to give me the warm and fuzzies, right? Okay, don't you worry. We only broke up for a week. Honestly, it was the longest, saddest, most horrible week either one of us have gone through, but after all was said and done, we realized that we can't live without each other and had to make immediate changes to our life in order to make things work again. But first things first, we would never break up again, which could sound crazy seeing as we had just gotten back together and he hadn't even put a ring on it yet. Without any hesitation, though, we made the commitment anyway, and this was the turning point for us in our relationship that took us back on and wish we had known about sooner. From that point on, it was me or him, ride or die forever. So, I just wanted to talk about that for a minute with you guys because obviously this happened a really long time ago. We weren't married, we were only dating. This was year 3 in our relationship, but it was
13
like...
years ago.
Yeah, wow, it's a long time ago. But it seriously was a big shift for us to just, and that's like the biggest takeaway that I want to give people when they're reading the book is like, and even listening to the podcast right now, like when you're making that mindset shift, whether you're married or not, and if you're already married, maybe you're struggling in your marriage and you have to really sit back and go, okay, I have people come to us that are really having challenges in their marriage and they don't know what to do. And it's like, are you guys each other's ride or die right now? Are you in this mindset that no?
What if one side isn't and the other is?
Well, I wrote in here, we both made the commitment. Mm-hmm. Now at the time, I thought I was communicating to you, like, I need time from you. And you were going, I need to make a future for us. We can't do this forever. And so you were doing things for us, but I wasn't feeling that, or we weren't communicating that. So like it does go back to really sitting down and talking to each other and figuring out what's super important and kind of understanding what that process is going to be in the meantime, because we broke up for that 1 week and it was like, both of our lives just kind of crashed down. And funny enough, we still saw each other at college every day because we were taking all the same classes together at the time. And the very first day that we went to class, I said, can you just sit next to me for the next couple of weeks till we till I'm fully moved out and stuff, and just so our like classmates don't see the drama that's going on. And I'm glad we did that because we didn't break up. And over the course of the week, we sent each other a couple text messages and got back together and realized like we just sat down and had this long conversation and hashed it all out, like what I was feeling, what was bothering me at the time, why I felt like I wasn't getting what I needed from Brandon. And then when he actually shared why he was working so hard, it was something that I didn't even realize was going on in his brain because he was never even sharing it. So I just thought he was being completely selfish, working on building a business, but it really wasn't that. He was working on our future and really didn't have any other time to do it. So we did make some shifts. One of the biggest ones was after that next semester or something, we actually we quit college. We're college dropouts. I don't know if you guys knew that. But we quit college because that was one of the things that was taking away from us building a business. That was really important to us to be entrepreneurs. And it was one of the things that was taking time away from our family, which at the time was just the two of us. But, that's all we had. We were each other's ride or die. And as soon as we made that mindset shift, things really changed. So again, like some people may already be there and have that mindset. Some people may really be struggling to find that with their spouse. And sometimes breaking up or divorce, like I feel like those terms just come up way too much. And knowing that we did this so many years ago when we were not married, like we've never gone back to that place since then. Like it has always been, if it's ever getting to that point or anything, which doesn't even happen at all anymore, but for a few years it was rocky. From the equation. Yeah.
If it's not a possibility.
Then. You have to make divorce not an option, and both of you guys have to agree to it, and then you have to sit down and talk. Like talking is important. I don't necessarily understand things that are going on in Brandon's brain now, right? Still to this day. And if I feel a certain way about a situation or I don't feel like I'm getting enough time from Brandon, we just sit down and talk about it, try to figure out what's going on. When we talk about making these big business shifts, like our business is profiting enough, should you be quitting, should you be moving on to the next business? I hope to everything, if you're married, that you're sitting down and having these conversations with your spouse, because their input is important too. Ultimately, the decision to continue moving forward in a business that's not profiting, you guys should set the boundaries to what that looks like. And we used to joke around all the time, and we'd have our plan, like, oh, our plan B is this, but worst case scenario, we'll just get jobs at McDonald's. And like we joked about that for years, but we knew deep down, like, worst case scenario, if we need to go get jobs and work in our free time towards our business, like Brandon and I were willing to do that in order to get a business up and running. So we just had to figure out what our thresholds for pain were and what each other needed to stay happy. And then ultimately we had to commit that we were going to do this thing together no matter what. Keep each other in mind. That's my marriage minute. I don't know if you have any feedback on that or if I just dropped the mic on that one. I don't know. But we would not, people have been coming out of the woodworks lately that I didn't even realize were listening to the podcast. Thanks for all the love this week, by the way. Man, we have gotten so much love. I really appreciate all you guys reaching out with your questions and your comments and your feedback. Amazing, amazing. You're motivating us to a whole different level than we even thought was possible. And it's only because we're just coming out here and sharing these things with you. I hope you're getting as much value from it as we are having fun giving you all this stuff. But at the end of the day, we've gone through 16 years of ups and downs together. We have figured out a thing or two, especially on the relationship side, that what works and what doesn't work. And the quicker the both of you can adapt that ride or die mindset, which is why it's method 1 in my book. It's like foundational, most important thing.
Well, let me just say this. My biggest light bulb moment was I thought that it was an option to grind 120 in business and let you be a second priority. Let our now, right? Because that's really our life. We can talk about what our future life will be, but that's not promised. So what you have to actually live today is, right, the now. And when I realized that, dude, you got it all wrong. If she's going to leave, if she's not getting what she needs, which is not up to me to decide, that's up to her to decide. If she wants a certain lifestyle now, if she wants, if she actually doesn't want me, if she wants me to sleep in bed next to her and not be working until 5 o'clock in the morning, I can't argue with that. It's what she wants. It's what she needs. So I have to flip those things and say, no, she's number one. Our relationship is number one. And then everything else has to be
over business
behind that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Knowing your priorities is important. For some people, the answer may be that business is more important.
That was a hard decision to make, but you kind of forced me to make that decision, right? Like you put the scenario together. Like, look, I'm just not willing to. Your value, right? You're like, I know I'm not willing to live like this, and I'm like, well, I know I'm not willing to live without you. So, I don't even want to do all this business stuff if I don't have you. So, let's go ahead and change up that priority. And it was
premium pricing.
Off to the races. To me, you are. Obviously, to yourself, you are too.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Let's get going here. We got a lot of stuff to do today. Let's feel good, warm and fuzzy moment. If you guys have any feedback about that marriage minute, feel free to reach out and we can talk about it more. And obviously, if you have any feedback on that piece of that chapter of the book, I'd love to hear it because I'm excited that I'm writing this for you. But sometimes I need a little bit more momentum to sit down and write it's so, like I said, I'm not like a reader, so writing a long book is a little challenging. So I need the extra kick in the butt and accountability to get it done.
I'll give you some accountability. When's the book going to be available?
I'm supposed to have it done at the end of July.
I said, when's the book going to be available? For purchase.
August.
It's going to be available for purchase in August?
Isn't that what we said, or is it going to be September?
Editing.
Oh, okay. Editing in August, available September.
All right. Awesome.
End of the third quarter, 2017.
All right, guys. It's been another great episode of the Middleton Methods podcast. I just wanted to remind you guys, like we always say, marriage ain't easy, business ain't easy, heck, life ain't easy. Anything worth having is worth working for, right?
True.
So we are putting in the work to make it work, so take what you want. What you don't want, don't take. And we'll see you next week for another episode of the Middleton Methods podcast.
Goodbye, everybody.
I can make the pain disappear, and I can erase the past. Oh, I can make the future shine so bright, and I can make right now all right. Yeah, I got it, you got it, we got it.